Hi, it's Michael, and it's week 3. We're going to finish up our first deliverable. I hope you've gotten a feel for how the course works. It seems, at least to me, that you all are getting used to the way Mural works, and you all did really well on this particular week. I've got a few tips. Now, I will say that I send this email out as an announcement. I got a reply or asked for replies to see if you got this video. I hope this video is helpful. I'm just hoping to maybe tie some loose ends together, give some general impressions and tips so that you feel confident that you're going in the right direction. And we do move really quickly in this class. Every class is going to build upon a prior class. So you don't want to get behind. Even though I hope each week isn't a tremendous amount of effort, that's why doing something early, getting feedback, hopefully is going to give you a little bit easier access than trying to cram everything into the last minute. So that being said, I'm going to change this up and I'm going to just post this on Mural since I'm still, as you can probably tell, working with many different systems, working with Canvas and how it works, and trying to work with Mural and how it works. So let's give it a try. I'm looking at the views. I notice at least a few of you, maybe 11 of you, watched the video from last week. So we'll see. I'll check the metadata. That's a hint that there's more topics to come, but I'll check and see how many watch this. So thank you for your work in exploring Twitter. One thought is or X, is that as things change, maybe it's not as relevant. I was a little bit, again, upset that Twitter took away location as a field, because if you say you're looking for some word or idea around you, that makes things quite different. But they took it away and things change. But all of you did seem to have a good time with the idea of exploring a very, very unstructured database. This database of Twitter is publicly available. Anyone can use it for anything they could imagine, which is a fantastic thing, yet it is very noisy. So, well, it also doesn't necessarily make any sense at all, right? It's just kind of like conversation. So you did a good job. Probably there's many accounts in Twitter that are just more professional and or more typical to what you were all looking for, but the goal here is to really understand lack of structure and why you add more and more structure with more and more fields. I hope that came across. That was my goal. I think so. Now, as you went out and explored, I am stunned. For the first time ever in this history of this course, you actually took my advice and used Airtable's Airtable's templates. Maybe something changed. Maybe you can tell me later, or just let me know something. I don't know. Maybe I just changed some things around and that it became more obvious that using a template of theirs is a little bit quicker start. Now, it is just a start. The database is yours to own and change and to manipulate, as we will get into this week. So where you started has nothing to do with where you're going to end up. And many of the choices you made may not work out. You can always switch to another database. But normally everyone scrapes data. Now, that's fine that you didn't, because scraping data has its own, I kind of demonstrated it. Certainly I demonstrated in my video of like, what does it mean to scrape data? I just want you all, whoever did not scrape data, just to still realize that the internet is a bunch of data. That was the point of this. Like, it is every interface that you're going to encounter pretty much is a data set of some sort. Cool. And of course, no one ever does the JSON thing. But if you've never heard of JSON, it's just a way to get data back and forth. It's exactly the same name value pairs. It's 100% just a way to access a database. So, in this case, your database may be a little bit hidden because they represent the data on the page, but it's still coming from a database. So database, database, database. Everyone found some sort of database. I would say many are going to probably have to change their minds. One thing we do want to make sure of course, is that this database could contain tens of thousands of examples, at least. The whole point of information architecture at the level we're exploring and will continue to explore is not only tens of thousands of examples, but like if you looked at Twitter, I think it's a few million or more tweets per minute, so that's a lot of data to organize. That's all. And that's what your goal is going to be, is how do you organize such vast amounts of things? Who knows? We're going to find out. Many also, I finally, sorry I kept mentioning this, but you want to share publicly. There's nothing private or all that notable about your database. Don't feel like you have to protect it. It's just an example for class. Good, so that got us started, and we'll continue to refine. So let's go to this week, and I'll say that right now, let's see, we're talking about patterns. So now you're really going to look at the data in your database. I've got tips here, right? I'm gonna talk about that. I believe I'm doing part 2 here. Anyway, the videos should at least give you more of a narrative way of how this stuff works, if it's helpful. Pardon me. We're going to clean things up, meaning if stuff doesn't make sense to you, it's certainly not going to make sense to anybody else. So you can delete things. If you're in a Airtable, sometimes they've created a lot of views. I'm just interested in a flat table, one table to contain everything. If there are linked tables or something like that, we're just trying to clean it up. Now, how many rows do you need? I want the concept to be as large as possible. The actual rows don't have to be tens of thousands, but I do really emphasize if it's something that you could personally organize, then it isn't appropriate for the class. Because if a human could do it, you wouldn't need the techniques that we're going to learn. So make sure it gets bigger and bigger, and there are easy ways to do that, mainly by adding more and more fields. So a good example, somebody had recipes and they said it's gluten-free recipes. So, well, that gluten-free could just be a field that says, I hate to say it, gluten-free yes or no, but let's just pretend it could be that. Maybe there's, if you wanted to, you could have a dietary field, and that dietary field could say gluten-free or vegan or low-cal, or anyway. So you start to see that's the goal of this week. Can you expand this database by adding just a or one or more fields? Adding a, if you had restaurants in San Francisco, just by adding an address, city, state, etc., a country, just adding the word field for country in it means you could have a restaurant from anywhere in the world, perhaps. But that's the expansion part. Modeling and what is a restaurant is really what I want you to think about. So you're going to look for patterns about groups. If every element in your database is unique, full stop. That's it. You don't get to pass. You want things to be groupable. You want concepts that bring records together. Concepts like we just said, vegan, for, it's a good example of it's a tag on a recipe, and tagging is kind of the big thing for this week. More important than anything probably is hierarchy. Like, what is the most important field? What is it? Is it a piece of text? Is it a name? Is it, I don't know. Hierarchy and groups are all about this week. If you don't have them, you invent them. So I'm asking a little bit, what are you going to add? Well, you can just add them, but maybe if you tell me first down here, by the way, just to make sure, you use the Control-C if you take a URL and you just say Control-C, and then you go down here and you say Control-V, it'll create the nice little preview of Airtable for you. So you don't need to take up as much room if that's going to be helpful. And then I guess there's a little bit too big of an area right now. Maybe I can change the formatting. But what's the point? What could you do with this data? I don't know. It's just a thought process that will actually be more relevant in week 7 than it is today. But if there is no purpose to this data, maybe that's another reason to pivot to another topic. So quick tips, hopefully helpful, and as always, just @mention me and I will give you feedback as much as possible. Thanks.